Hey guys, Aaron here. Welcome to the video. So in this video, I'm just going to go over the latest news with everything crypto related, taking a look at Bitcoin to start. So we have just been chilling in this range for a while, 117K. I would expect personally, if we see a dip a little bit lower, but we actually already hit a really good level, which I'll get to right here. We filled what's called the CME gap. So we already filled it, which is great. So we had to come down to these levels in order to fill it, which I believe 95% of these gaps get filled. Let's take a look really quick. We got Ethereum at $4,600. It's come down a little bit. We still have not broken the all-time high, which is interesting. I do think that we will. This would be the world's stupidest cycle if we do not break the all-time high for Ethereum, but I do think we will. So I want to talk about a couple stories, including what Scott Besson said a few days ago about him revising this whole, the US is not going to buy Bitcoin. And then Cynthia Lummis also chimes in as well. She also talks about the end of Operation Choke Point 2.0. We have more Ethereum being bought by public companies and a little bit more about expected rate cuts. But first I want to talk about this, which is taking stocks and putting them on the blockchain. So this is over on Kraken. This is Kraken Pro. And you can actually buy things like Tesla, Nvidia, and different massive companies, Microsoft, Apple, inside of Kraken and others. And how this works is with XStocks. They tokenize stocks and ETFs. They are a channel partner, but I am actually very excited just to briefly talk about what they do. So they are the platform behind Kraken, Bybit, Gate, BNB Chain. They're on Solana as well. And you can buy all of these stocks, real stocks, and they are backed one-to-one with the actual stock. You can buy them on chain. Now, I think this is really cool because it's going to bring a lot of people into crypto, and it's also going to allow people that are crypto only to buy native stocks, to buy equities, right? Which is very cool. One of the benefits to these stocks is they're available 24/7, unlike traditional stocks that have market hours. They are freely transferable, no commissions, especially right here on Kraken, and they are DeFi ready. Because they are obviously crypto and on the blockchain, they can incorporate with DeFi applications like lending and other things like that. XStocks is powered by a company called Bakkt, which was founded in 2021 and is one of the longest standing RWA, real world asset issuers in the industry. So if you are in Kraken, they are live here, very easy to buy. This is my Kraken account for reference. And you can check them out on X as well if you want to stay updated on what they are up to. And let's take a look at what Scott Besson said, revising what he said on TV, saying the US was not going to buy crypto, and that kind of tanked the market, or at least didn't help it. He said a few hours later, and this is a few days ago, Bitcoin that has been finally forfeited to the federal government will be the foundation of the strategic Bitcoin reserve that Trump established. In addition, so this is the important part that I think somebody tapped him on the shoulder and said, yo, make sure to include this. Treasury is committed to exploring budget-neutral pathways to acquire more Bitcoin, to expand the reserve, and to execute on the president's promise to make the U.S. the Bitcoin superpower of the world. So when he went on TV, like I covered in my last video, myself were like, yo, this is totally off brand, right? We have Bo Hines, who's no longer a part of the working group, but even like David Sachs and Trump himself saying that the US is looking heavily to get as much Bitcoin as possible in a budget neutral way. And then Scott Besson is like, the US is not going to buy any more Bitcoin. And I'm like, what? Excuse me? And Senator Lummis said, Scott is right. A budget neutral path to building the strategic Bitcoin reserve is the way. We cannot save our country from $37 trillion of debt by purchasing more Bitcoin, but we can revalue gold's reserves to today's prices and transfer the increase in value to build the SBR. Now, the whole idea that we cannot save our country by purchasing more Bitcoin, I'm like, you know, if you guys are going to be printing money anyway, if you guys are going to be debasing the currency, why not buy Bitcoin with it? You're printing more currency to expand the military industrial complex and to fund the big, beautiful bill and all these other things. Why not just buy Bitcoin? I think that's kind of silly, but you know, that's just me pumping my own bags, right? Senator Lummis said, Besson is spot on about the importance of Bitcoin as a store of value. I look forward to continue working with Scott Besson and Howard Lutnick to identify budget-neutral ways to continue growing our Bitcoin reserve. Yay. Love it. Let's keep going. Now here, Senator Lummis said, big win for putting an end to Operation Choke Point 2.0. She said the Fed announced it's killing the targeted supervision of digital asset banking activities. So this is essentially giving crypto a level playing field. They are no longer going to be targeting digital asset banking activities. And here we have SharpLink Gaming buying another 130,000 ETH worth $603.5 million. So take a look right here. I've talked about them before, but we have BitMine right here. They are led by Tom Lee. They have come down a little bit over the last couple days, and especially from when it went public, I believe, at $160. So sorry for those of you guys that bought it up here. Now it's around 57 bucks. So I have not purchased any of these Ethereum proxy companies. I do have some MicroStrategy, but I feel like just owning the underlying asset is just a lot more straightforward, where you don't really need to know what they're doing, like how they're issuing things, how it all works. In the short term, I can see BitMine and SharpLink and Strategy outperforming Bitcoin, or especially these Ethereum companies because they just launched, outperforming Ethereum. And we've seen some Bitcoin treasury companies really, really underperform Bitcoin over the last couple weeks. Even Strategy is underperforming Bitcoin since last November by a lot. I think it's down like 30%. Right here, we have JP Morgan expects the Fed to cut rates 4 times in 2025, starting as early as September and bringing the benchmark down to 3.25% to 3.5%. Obviously, this would be bullish for risk assets and Bitcoin. And this final story, which I gotta say, I don't love because it kind of screams top to the market, at least what happened in 2021 with the Coinbase IPO. Nonetheless, the Winklevosses, Gemini, files for an IPO as crypto listings accelerate. And yeah, that's what's happening. We're getting more and more crypto companies listing on the public markets. I talked about one in my last video and then a few previously. There have just been several crypto companies that are ringing the bell on Wall Street and they are launching, right? Now, again, this may not be anything, but I would encourage you guys to think about your profit-taking strategy. Subscribe if you want to catch my videos where I go into it deeper, but these things just rhyme with 2021 when Coinbase launched and then we saw a 50% retracement in the summer of 2021. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it's always good to take profits and understand how you are going to take profits. So I'm not here to scare anybody. You can do whatever you want, but I'll cover this in future videos in more detail. Hope you guys are doing well. Till next time, guys, talk with you soon, and bye for now.